You know, it's one of Portland's most controversial issues, and today, despite some hoping for maybe a last-minute change, it really became clear the time of the open-air reservoirs is over.
But we learned of a surprising development when it comes to the future of the reservoir structures at Mount Tabor.
Our Chris Woodard has been following this story for some time now. He's live at City Hall with another follow-up. Chris?
Yeah, a vote today approves moving forward with the plans for the demolition of the Washington Park Reservoir, and for Mount Tabor, the writing is on the wall. However, who'd have thought after all this controversy we'd be at a point now where the neighbors surrounding these two reservoir areas would actually be happy with what the city has planned for their future. But even saying that, it doesn't mean all ratepayers are happy with what was decided here today. Portland's open-air drinking water reservoirs have a long and controversial history. From contamination scares to being drained when someone actually urinated in one.
The one guy urinated in the reservoir.
There were camp-ins and heated protests about the reservoir's future. At one point, actually causing city council members to walk out of chambers.
You're done. We're adjourned and we'll be back in 10 minutes.
Unfortunately, city council just seems to rubber stamp what the Water Bureau reads.
The city's plan is to demolish the historic reservoirs at Washington Park and build new underground tanks in their place. They also plan to disconnect the Mount Tabor reservoirs, and today are also debating how much it will cost and who will pay to keep water in those reservoirs just for the look. Surprisingly, after years of heated debate, today the Mount Tabor Neighborhood Association and Water Bureau announced they are close to a compromise.
Our goal is to protect the park and to protect the reservoirs. I'm always willing to negotiate and talk to somebody if they're willing to talk and negotiate in good faith. And it's always better to be talking than to be fighting.
The decisions all go back to federal government rules saying Portland must cover their reservoirs or treat the water. Opponents argue the city didn't do enough to fight those federal rules and want the city to wait on any decisions until next year when the EPA may revise the rule. They say at the very least, the city should preserve these historic structures, major park attractions. This, the last chance to make their argument.
Talking to commissioners at
So here's where we're at again. Today, the city voted to move forward with demolition plans at Washington Park, and as far as Mount Tabor, they decided to give the Neighborhood Association and the Water Bureau 3 more weeks to finalize that compromise about the future of that structure after it's disconnected, talking about things, how much water will be in the reservoir, how many days a year will that water be there, and preserving the structure there. But just the fact we're talking about compromise here, pretty surprising to a lot of people, considering, as we've just showed you, how controversial this disconnect has been for years now. Live downtown, I'm Chris Woodard for KOIN 6 News.
Yeah, Chris, I once heard a successful negotiation is when both sides feel they've lost something but have come to an agreement. So hopefully that's the case here and this all get resolved. Thanks, Chris.